The Bear, Season 4. So like most, I thought that Season 3 was a bit of a decline compared to the first two perfect seasons. But let me just say right off the bat, I love this season. But I do have one major problem with it that I think started in Season 3. But a big reason why I love this season is also because of Season 3. So let's get into it. The editing. So I have a problem with the editing from the past two seasons. And I don't mean the rapid, fast cuts editing that The Bear does so well, like when they're in the kitchen and the tensions are high. That's a trademark of the show. It's done so well. But I mean literally like editing from one scene to another. Like sometimes there's a serious conversation going on and there's a hard cut to a completely different thing with a completely different energy. And it always just feels abrupt and just off. It's so weird because something that The Bear does so well is that the characters, the cinematography, the direction is allowing the actors to really give a performance, to really live in this moment. There's a lot of silence, there's a lot of pauses between dialogue. So on that level, the show lets it breathe. But then I feel like right at the end of this scene, hard cut to something else. And it just, like I said, it just feels off. And then there's the cross-cutting. I mean, we all love cross-cutting. Cross-cutting is an extremely unique thing to cinema, to this medium, and it's a great way to add tension, to cover multiple storylines and just build momentum. And sometimes in season 3 and 4 I feel like we're cross-cutting to things that don't match. The energy doesn't match, the importance doesn't match. Like we'll be cutting from an important conversation with the computer to the facts being the facts, you know? I mean, I love them, but I mean, come on. Yeah, it'll be like 3 scenes that all matter and we're all eager to know, and it's just humor. Or it's all the guys from The Beef, you know, like that white guy, which I love that guy, by the way. I love all those guys that are working with Ibra. You know, I just feel like sometimes it just doesn't match and it just feels off. It's not a huge deal. Like I said, I love this season, but it's something I've noticed in season 3 and 4. Sweeps. I think Sweeps as a character is a perfect representation of what I love about this season. Season 1, we got obviously Marcus, Richie, Tina established as important main characters. And in Season 2, they all got very big payoffs and became elevated to the same level as Sydney, you know? Ibra obviously was also established, but he's had much more of a slow burn story, and I still love what's going on with that character. But Sweeps has also been there since the beginning, and has had little lines here and there, but he's kind of been like the dishwashing guys, kind of like a nobody in the background that we know their face, but we don't know who they are. And then in season 3, they give him just a little bit more what we learned about him, and they also established that he's gonna go to like wine tasting school, whatever you call it. But they don't show it, and I think that was very smart because it would have been too much too fast, and we would have felt like, who's this guy? Like, why are we following his character? Let's get back to the ones we actually care about. And I think it was so smart to just plant those seeds in season 3. And in season 4, more of a payoff. We get to see him learning about wine. He gives his opinion more often. And I just think that's what's so great about this show, is that it takes advantage of the TV medium. It takes advantage of the format. And it takes its time. It spreads things out. It lets things develop. And I just love that. And I just think that season 3 is elevated because of this season, and they just work together perfectly hand in hand. And I heard or I read somewhere that they shot these 2 seasons back to back or at the same time, which I didn't know. That makes perfect sense. I feel like this show, and I'll get more into this when I talk about spoilers, but I feel like this show is just such a perfect representation of life, and that's why this show works so well. That's why this show is so famous. Because this show, at its core, it's really about growth. It's really about trauma and overcoming that, breaking patterns, all that, right? And I feel like in season 3, the reason why it was kind of a decline is because we didn't really meet any goals. We didn't really do anything triumphant. There was no big moment per se. It was a lot of meditation. It was a lot of reflection. It was just a lot of observing these characters. And luckily, they laid the groundwork. We love these characters, so they could take advantage of the format and be like, you know what, we'll have this kind of in-between season without it being filler. Everything matters in season 3. It's just we didn't get that oomph that we want, you know, as an audience. But watching season 4 doesn't work without season 3. All that was so necessary, and I just think, like I said, it elevates it. And sometimes in life, growth is stagnant. Sometimes you're growing, you have momentum, you have motivation, and then you reach like a little lull where you're just kind of like, you lose focus, or something triggers you go back to your ways, or whatever it may be. And sometimes you need just to reflect, why am I doing this? And I think that's exactly what season 3 was doing. And of course, more specifically with Carmy, because Carmy is growing extremely slowly, but he's still growing, and Carmy needs this time. And I feel like by the end of season 3, Carmy finally realized what he has to do, what he has to change. And season 4 was him putting this into action. So in season 5 will probably be the culmination of all of it. And I would assume season 5 might be the end of the show. We'll see. Now, onto spoilers. I'm not going to break down the whole season, but I do want to touch on certain things that stuck out to me, or certain things I just love. Like, let's start with the wedding episode. Love that episode. So hilarious. Once again, representation of life. I feel like that episode is the antithesis of the Fishes episode in season 2. It's addressing all of the same things, but with a completely different tone. This episode was fun. This episode was hilarious. This episode was so heartwarming, so beautiful, you know? But also showing us the repercussions of trauma, the reality of going to a wedding and what that entails for many of us. Like, oh, all the people I'm gonna see, all the history, all the anxiety I'm getting from this moment, you know? Like, you can't help but make it about you. Like, it's a struggle we all have, you know? The wedding is celebrating someone else's love, but we can't help but just feel like this is the worst day of my life or whatever it may be. And I thought it was just so realistic, so beautiful, and I just love that episode. And oh my god, when they put the song by Darlene Love, The Boy I'm Gonna Marry, I love that song. I have a lot of nostalgia for that song. So when they put that song, I was just like, oh my god, this episode can't get any better. Great episode. Dude, Brie Larson, Francine? Dude, she's so funny. That was very hilarious. Finally meeting her, seeing finally the clash between Natalie and her. I definitely want to know what happened, what the history is. I'm sure it's something super petty and super dumb, but that was funny. Did not expect that reveal about them hooking up. Pete's reaction was so relatable. The stuff with Unk, I mean, I just love that guy. Since season 1, he's just such a great character. He's the father figure. He's the patriarch of this entire family. The entire Berzados, the Bears, even though many of them aren't even blood, just that whole family. And I just think he's so great, and I just love his character. He's such a big teddy bear. And yeah, I love that guy so much. I love that actor, Oliver Platt or something. Great actor. Richie and Jessica. Since day one, man, I've been like, this is gonna happen, because the stuff with Tiff, I just knew. It's like, we're not gonna get that storyline where these exes are gonna come back together. I was like, this isn't happening. And especially once we met Josh Hartnett, I was like, yeah, this is for sure not happening. So I just have been rooting for this relationship since day one, and I just love that they're taking their time. It's a slow burn romance. It makes sense with their characters. And I just love it. I love that we got just a little bit more to really solidify, like, oh, this is a romantic story. So love that. And they're handling it very well. The writing of this show is just tremendous. Now, the second big moment, or for many people, the biggest moment, Claire and Carmy finally confronting each other. Okay, so before I get onto the actual conversation, was that not a When Harry Met Sally reference? I mean, Rob Reiner's in this episode, which he's great, by the way, in this show. Just the way Carmy makes up his mind, like, you know what, no, I need to go talk to her. He just runs across all of Chicago very dramatically. I feel like he's almost dressed the same as Billy Crystal. Obviously not exactly, he's wearing like a dark sweater, but whatever. Maybe I'm reading so much into it, but I just feel like that has to be a reference to that film. If so, I love it. I love that film a lot. So let me know your thoughts on that. But I'm so glad that the conversation went the way it did. I thought it was done so well, so raw. It felt like I was watching Blue Valentine or something. I think the writers did justice to both of those characters. Carmy was Carmy. In the beginning, just like in the conversation later with Sydney, in the beginning he starts off wonky. He starts off saying things that are contradictory and whatnot. But finally he starts to just release the truth and express himself truly. And I mean, of course, great performances, but I feel like the writing was great, and I'm so glad Carmy said everything he said. I didn't feel at all like he left anything out, or like as an audience member, I was kind of like, come on, like shaky, like I want to shake this freaking guy, like I have been the past 3 seasons with him, and same with her. I mean, Carmy messed up big time, so I'm glad she stood her ground. I'm glad she went about it the way she did, and I'm so glad they didn't kiss. I'm a big fan of this relationship. I ship them 100%. I do not ship Carmy and Sydney. So I want them to end up together. Absolutely. But a kiss right now would have been unrealistic. It would have felt like a rom-com. It would have felt like When Harry Met Sally. And that's not what this show is. So I'm so glad that she went about it the way she did. And yeah, love that conversation. Speaking of a raw conversation, the ending, the big moment. Great performances. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of Sydney. I like her episode actually in this season that she co-wrote with the Marcus actor, Lionel, I think his name is. I really like that episode. So like I don't hate her character, but in many ways I do. Yeah, I love her father. I love all that stuff with her niece and whatnot. But just as a character, I guess, the actress, honestly, I'm just not the biggest fan. So, but I try to be objective. I try not to let that influence my view of the show and of that conversation. Oh man, as a fan of the show, I hate that Carmy's gonna leave the restaurant. But when you really dig deep, when you really meditate on it, it's like, this makes perfect sense. Man, the stuff with Richie, dude, that was really freaking intense. That was acted so well. I really thought Richie was gonna swing. I love, again, the writers are writing so well, and I just love the tension, the anger, the resentment, the sadness that was in full display during that whole conversation. Love it. That was freaking hilarious, by the way, the comment Richie made, because I think we all agree with that. I'm the youngest of my family, and I relate to Carmy on many levels, and I just think that someone would have told me that too if I was like, I'm retiring at 12. That was really funny. I related to that. But Natalie coming, she says it right there. She doesn't literally say it, but you know what I mean. This is the right move for someone like Carmy, since literally day one, since literally the first episode, I believe, or maybe the second episode is when we meet Natalie, how she didn't want him to be there. She says, I don't like what this is doing to you, and no one's asking you to do this. Like, why are you doing this? And obviously this show's about Carmy working through his trauma. It was just such a beautiful moment, and it's just so telling that Carmy does need to leave the restaurant. He does need to really live his life. And I just love that. I love the way they use Natalie and all that. I will say though, the season starts with that conversation with Mikey. And I took it as like showing that Carmy used to have a love for the kitchen. Carmy used to have that drive. And he lost it, of course. And also the moments in season 3 when it showed him, I don't know where, in Napa or something, where he's truly feeling bliss and awe and wonder and passion. And we see hints of that again in this season when he's just on his day off or something, looking at architecture and looking at old houses, looking at the city. So I'm like, we see that again. So I'm like, what is he going to change professions and love architecture or what? So maybe in season 5, it'll be Carmy finding a balance, because I do think, you don't become the best in the world without loving it, I understand that he has trauma, things have changed for him, but I do want him to find his love, at least find a new appreciation for cooking. It doesn't have to be the same level of passion. I do agree how Sydney is that. Sydney still is hungry for it, but he could still find a new lensing, a new way of looking at this passion. That's just my opinion, of course. Something I didn't mention, I didn't even write in my notes, but I do want to say that Jamie Lee Curtis, dude, outstanding performance once again. She's so heartbreaking. I just love the way they write her. I love her performance. She is such an accurate representation of many other women, many other men, many just fathers, grandmothers, people we know in our lives. And I think her character is like an archetype in a way. And I think many of us know those people. And damn, I don't want to get emotional, but I just feel like she just really did a powerful performance with Carmy. Yeah, I just love that moment in the house, and yeah, heartbreaking. Love it. Whew. But yeah, I rambled big time, but I just love this show so much, and I just wanted to get it all out, at least as much as I remember right now. Let me know your thoughts on the show, on this season, where you rank it, and my thoughts, of course, and what do you think is gonna happen in season 5. Thanks for watching.